We now continue with the testing of DC motors for performance calculations as regards losses and efficiency. So far we have seen that you can do direct testing by the methods of using dynamometers or friction brake. But in large machines it is not possible to do direct testing, because we would be requiring large amount of power to conduct the tests. Therefore, one of the methods is to estimate the losses in the machine. So, if you identify the losses in the machine, we may be able to obtain the efficiencies at different operating conditions by summing up all the losses and adding them to the output power to estimate the input power. Okay. Now, with this in view, let us look at the loss summation method. First, let us look at the shunt machine. In a shunt machine, what are the tests that you can conduct? Now, this test is called a Swinburne test. Here, what we do is we obtain core and mechanical losses from no load test or open circuit test. That means we take a DC machine, just measure the input power under no load condition, and there is no output. So, whatever input power, if you subtract the losses, resistance losses, then that is one which goes for the calculation of friction windage and core losses, or mechanical and core losses. So, anyway what you do is you measure the resistance, then we estimate that the fixed loss in this case will be equal to, fixed loss is equal to no load input minus I square R loss. In shunt machine we can have the advantage that we can assume that it is operating at a nominal flux and nominal speed. So, the core loss will be taken as fixed and mechanical losses are fixed. So, the fixed losses here will be equal to no load input minus I square R. And this Swinburne test, the loss, if you want to know loss at any other load, next is you would like to know what will be the loss at any other load. Loss at any other load will be equal to whatever the fixed loss which you estimated earlier plus I square loss for corresponding to that load, the current, that is armature loss and basically armature resistance loss, plus you add about 1 to 1.5% for stray load losses, because when you are on load there will be additional losses which is difficult to estimate, but it is assumed to be around 1.5% of power output. So, this will be the total loss under the for shunt machine. By conducting the simple test we may be able to get this, but it is a little complicated if you go in for a series machine, because in series machine it does not operate at the same constant flux and constant speed. Therefore, we may have to do more tests, and series machines are widely used in electric traction. So, there are standards for electric traction. We find that there are no fixed losses. We have seen earlier how the series machine has several component of losses which are depend upon current, current square and inverse of current, etc. Now, to obtain mechanical losses, what we do is operate at very low voltage at different speeds. Because we can get different speeds, you go for a low voltage and try to adjust the voltage and try to operate different speeds. So, whatever power input at different speeds you calculate, power input minus I square R losses, all the losses in the resistance of series and armature, that will go as friction windage, because we are operating at low currents on no load. The core loss is small, and whatever input goes in, that goes as mechanical losses, that is power input minus I square R loss. Okay. So, thus we obtain the friction windage loss. Now, after obtaining the friction windage loss or the mechanical loss, then we conduct another test as a no load. Okay. We have seen this, and if you conduct a no load loss at nominal current. So machine separately excited with IF. So what you do is you don't connect in series, you have a separate excitation and then vary the excitation, and low armature voltage is low to give the same speed as the speed on load. So you apply a low armature voltage, but to give the same speed as the load speed or speed on load, that means the current will be equal to the field current corresponding to that. Okay. And now, so we have conducted two tests, one for obtaining best mechanical loss by running at the voltage, another we have separately excited this and we are trying to excite this and then we measure the input power. And the input power now will be equal to the core loss plus friction windage. Earlier we only obtained friction windage, here we are having friction windage plus core loss. Let us say this one, friction windage plus core loss is B and only the friction windage is A, then we can see the separate out core loss. So PC will be B minus A. Okay. And to recall, that means we are conducting two tests in a series motor. So first one, you apply a very low voltage and operate at different speeds. So very low voltage means I is small and you can adjust this. So you measure the power input will be V into I minus I square R, which will be small, and that will go as friction windage. This is the first thing you do. Next what you do is you separately excite this. This field is now separately excited and for different field current, and omega m is now varied. For different speeds you adjust the voltage, that means you fix the field current IF corresponding to the armature current, because so IF as per load IA, then adjust V for given speed. So if you do this and measure the power input here, so the power input now be not only the friction windage, because whatever was the friction windage earlier that will remain, plus this will also add to the core loss, because now it is operating at nominal flux, okay, IF, which is separately excited. So this way we will have the two losses and we can get the difference. Now we know that we have separated friction windage and the core loss for the given speed and given current, because we please understand that the speed decides the friction windage and the current decides the core loss, and you can add stray load losses here, say around 0.5, 0.28 or 0.2 per unit of the core loss, add the stray load losses. See, for different values of this, then you add around so much per unit of power output. Okay. So for different power output, again the stray load loss will depend upon power output. If it is twice per unit, 1 per unit, 0.25 per unit, for twice per unit add over 0.5 of the PC, for 1 per unit it's a 0.2 times PC, and 0.25 0.2 times PC, 0.28 and 0.2 PC. This, that means if it is operating at 25% of power outputs, add around 20% of the core loss as the stray load loss. And next, brush contact loss is normally taken to be a constant voltage, 3 volts or 2 volt drop, which is constant and across the brushes, and loss is equal to VB into I. So this is a current dependent. We assume that this is constant, and we find out the losses. So these are the way of obtaining different losses in the case of DC series motor. Okay. Another important test we can conduct on the machines which will separate out friction, windage and core loss is also what is known as a retardation test. Now here what we do is, you run the machine at nominal speed, and switch off the supply. When you switch off the supply, the speed goes down because of the friction in the system as well as the inertia, and how it goes down depends upon the friction torque or friction power, and also it depends upon the inertia of the system. So you plot speed versus time, speed goes down, plot speed versus time, and the speed drop is due to the loss PD, that is the loss in the system, let us call it as PD, and at each speed, whatever is at each speed, and also inertia of the system J. So this decides how the speed drops with time. Now what is this loss PD? Loss PD will be, this loss will be the core loss plus friction windage if it is carrying a field current. That means if the field is still energized when you are switching off, then the loss will still be there in the field, therefore that decides. Or if your field is not excited, then the PD will be just be friction windage. Okay. So we have the two scenarios of losses, and the time that is taken if you have the field current or if you do not have the field current will be naturally different, because losses will be different at different speeds. Now while retarding torque, the torque will be equal to the whatever is the power at each speed retarding torque is different, that is the power, friction power or the power under retardation divided by the speed, which is equal to J d omega m by dt, where you see d omega m by dt is the slope of omega m with t, how the speed drops with time at that omega m. Okay. Now if we know, if you know already the power loss with time by some other method, we know that we can run it at a given speed. At each speed you can find out PD by separate method. Okay. So if you have that information of the power loss at different speeds, then it is possible to obtain J as the torque divided by d omega by dt. So this is one way of estimating the inertia of the rotating parts of a DC machine, and that inertia may vary with different speeds to some extent because of the measurement problem, so you can take an average of this. Okay. And otherwise, if you have an information on the inertia, conducting retardation test at IF equal to 0 and IF not equal to 0, we can estimate the friction windage and PC, and PC and friction windage can be separated. Therefore, this is an information by conducting the retardation test by field current and without field current, we may separate out friction windage and core loss at different speeds. And or if you know the friction windage, after all we can calculate the mechanical loss at different speed by conducting no load tests. If we do that, then we can also have an estimation of the inertia J. Graphically we have shown here this is how the speed is dropping. The speed is dropping with time, speed omega m in radians per second. And time in seconds. Now, for a given any given speed omega m, this is the point A. Now, the slope of that will be here. The slope is tan alpha. Tan alpha will be AC by BC. Okay. So, tan alpha will be AC by BC, which is also equal to, if you draw a normal to this at this point, it will touch here. That will tan alpha. This is also alpha. Tan alpha is also equal to DC by AC. So, this tan alpha is the slope at this point, which is d omega m by dt. So, we can graphically, if you have this curve, we can graphically obtain d omega by dt at each omega. After all, slope will not be same, and the slope d omega by dt is decided by, what is it? This one, that is PD is, that is whatever the friction or the loss here is t omega m is equal to j d omega by dt into omega m. So, this is the one, that is the torque. So, d omega by dt is decided by the torque here. Now, we know that if you know j, and from this if you know d omega by dt, you can find out what is PD. Now, if you know PD with IF and without IF, we may separate out core loss and friction windage at each this. Okay. So, we conclude from here, if J is known, PD is obtained. If PD is known, J is obtained. If with a calibrated curve, we can use this. So, retardation test provides very useful information on the losses, especially on friction windage and the core losses in a DC machine. Okay. So, this way we have now seen how different components of losses, primarily core loss, friction windage loss, I square R loss, can be separated and can be used for computing the efficiency of DC machines on load. Okay. Then we come to the last method called the back-to-back test. This back-to-back test, as the name indicates, there should be two machines connected back to back, which would require that there should be two identical machines are required. In fact, this was propounded by a person called Hopkinson, and then it was modified by another person, Cap. So, it is called Hopkinson modified by Cap. For DC shunt machines, let us see what will be the one of the methods of back-to-back test. This diagram will be like this. This is one of the, this is for shunt machines. This is the back-to-back test. That means what you do is you take a motor, couple it to an identical generator. Then you connect it to a supply with the field windings both of the motor and the generator. These are the field of generator, and the field currents are controllable through these external regulators. Now, by controlling these field currents, it is possible to drive a rated current here. So, the through this, that means the current is given by the generator goes to this. So, you may have to effectively under excite this, so that this voltage is less and this is operating at the nominal speed. Now, as so the current flows here like this, and however this will only be that means this adjustment will only provide the load current or the armature current, whereas this I1 will be providing some additional losses. So, V1 I1 will be providing whatever the losses that will be required for this system which can be used for calculation. So what we can do is, for each machine, after all we can assume that whatever power that is comes here is divided equally between these two machines, which is an assumption anyway. So for each machine the power P naught input is equal to PC plus friction windage, that is given by half of whatever is the V1 I1. This is a friction windage, that is, let us say P naught is the constant losses, PC plus friction, core loss per friction windage is half of V1 I1 minus the loss here, that is IAM square into RAM. RAM is the resistance of the armature winding here. Motor RAG is the resistance of the generator, and this loss has to be subtracted from here. That will be the fixed loss which is given by here. So from this, if you conducting these tests at the required current, we might calculate the efficiencies like this. So if it is a motor, we know what is the power input is the V1 into power voltage into IAM plus IFM. This will be the power that goes into the motor. IAM plus IFM, that is the power goes into the motor from this. V1, that is the voltage here. Then the power loss is, loss in the system will be P naught, that is the fixed loss, plus IAM square RAM plus the loss here. So the loss in the whole system will be the fixed loss as calculated plus I square R here, I square R here. So that will be the loss, and the output power of this will be whatever the power input which we have estimated like this, whatever the power input minus the loss. Okay. So we now know the power input minus the loss. So efficiency is therefore given by this. Efficiency is power output divided by power input. So we can directly obtain the efficiency for any given value of the armature current IAM. Okay. Similarly for the generator. So for the generator, this unit, the power input to the generator will be whatever is the power output, because this is giving out power plus the losses. What is the power output? What is giving out from this generator is whatever is the voltage here, V1 into IAG. V1 into IAG is the power output of the generator. Okay. So this is the power output of the generator, and we know the losses will be the whatever the fixed losses P naught plus IA square into RAG plus V1 into IFG. So the loss in this plus loss in this will be there. So total loss in the generator will be whatever the fixed loss as we have calculated like this, plus the I square R loss in the armature and the field. Now knowing the losses here and the output given, we can find out the efficiency as P output over P input, because the input power will be basically whatever is the output calculated like this plus the losses. So we observe that by conducting this back to back test for shunt machines, we can estimate the efficiencies of both motor and generator for any given load, any load condition. Okay. Now let us look at the series machine. This is also called maybe series Hopkinson test. In series machine, this is the type of connection. You take an identical motor generator and connect the fields of both in series like this, and there is a booster here. That means this another voltage source connected here to supply for the losses, because this booster is used to circulate the necessary currents. This adjusting this booster voltage, you can adjust this, and this V1 is a supply which will more or less give you the fixed losses. So B is the booster supplying losses, that is I square R losses, and power input in this case will be the motor voltage Vm into the motor current Im, that will be the power input to the motor. And power loss, what is the loss in the machine, will be half of whatever is the power given by this plus whatever is the power given by this. That means Vb into Ig plus V1 into I1. Okay. So this will give you the required constant or required core loss, friction loss, etc. This will give you the mechanical I square R losses. So we know the loss in the machine, and efficiency will be 1 minus loss by input. So that is easy to find out. So by conducting this series back to back test, two machines with adding a booster here and a voltage source, by measuring the voltage into current, power input here and the booster, it is possible to get the efficiency. Okay. So we have seen all methods of testing of DC machines. As the last segment of this series of lectures on DC machines, I would like to tell you where are the DC machines used today. That means we go for the applications of DC motors. That is the next aspect, the DC machines applications. Okay. We have listed here a DC motor, permanent magnet motor. These permanent magnet motors are nowadays used in several applications because they are fixed field, small machines typically. They are used in entertainment electronics, all your videos, your audio systems, and so on in the domestic consumer electronics. Then they are used in toys, battery operated toys, they use permanent magnet motors. They are used in robotics, widely they are used for operating in the robot machine, and computer numerical control machine tools. In most of the machine tools which computers are controlling the machines, so they are called CNC, computer numerical control machine tools. They are also used in PV operated motor pump system, permanent magnet motors, they find application PV motor system. They are widely used in space applications which use DC power from the photovoltaics, They are widely used in computer drives, all the floppy drives and so on. These are typical applications of permanent magnet motors, and the sizes nowadays with the improved magnet, sizes of motors are increasing, and we are in a position to build better motors and use them for wider applications wherever you have adjustable speed applications. Okay. Then let us go to the shunt and compound. Shunt and compound, they are used in steel mills, mining applications, they are used in textile mills, used in machine tools, they are used in all adjustable speed drives, paper mills, chemical plants, sugar mills and so on. These are some typical applications of DC shunt and compound machines, wherever you require a near constant speed, okay, and of course adjustable to some extent. And as far as the series machines are concerned, they are used in they are widely used in electric traction, electric trains, all the transportations they have been currently using series machines, though AC machines are also now being attempted. They are used in all electric vehicles, battery driven vehicles. Series machines are found to be very suitable because they can start with high torque. They are used in cranes, they are used in hoists, they are used in lifts. They are used in factories, they are very commonly used for what are known as forklift trucks. Factory forklift trucks, they use the DC series motor. So we now have a permanent magnet machine, shunt machine and series machines. Okay. So the total DC motor ranges can be summed up as shown here. machine tools, cement mills, paper mills, textile mills, mining, steel, lifts, cranes, electric traction, PV operated pumps, entertainment electronics, position control systems, servo control systems, robotics, computer drives. So these are wide varieties in which DC motors are still being used in industries as well as in defense, space and allied applications. But DC generators have typically very small range of applications. This DC generator are used in welding generators often. They are used in defense applications for battery charging purposes. So there are engine driven generators which charge the batteries in remote places. They are widely used in lab testing of prime movers. In fact, any prime mover, if you want to test it, DC generators are very versatile. We have seen how the DC motors can also be tested with DC generators. So they are widely used. And you find DC generators in automobiles where you require DC supplies for charging the batteries and also operating several of the gadgets. So these are widely used in automobiles. So we now have a glimpse of the typical applications of DC machines. Okay, thus we come to the conclusion of the series of lectures on DC machines. So to sum up, we can say that we have studied almost all the important aspects of DC machines, starting from construction, parts, nature of excitation. We have studied the winding arrangements. We have done the analytical methods, how they are analyzed, what are the performance equations. We have seen the characteristics of series, shunt and compound machines. And we have also seen how the speed of motors are controlled, that is speed control of DC machines. Then we have seen how the motors are started, starting methods of DC machines. Then we have looked at the testing of DC machines, what type of tests are being done, both for performance prediction as well as for parameter estimation. We have to understand that nowadays testing has assumed importance because of energy saving. They must be operated efficiently, losses must be less. In fact, we also have to understand that the temperature rise of the motor also becomes important, so that certain tests have to be conducted to measure the temperature and to ensure that they are within certain limits. So the temperature rise tests, they are conducted, motors are loaded and temperatures are measured. Now after knowing the different types of tests, in the last segment we also reviewed the nature of applications where the DC motors are used. So thus we come to the end of the series of lectures on DC machines, which are widely used in several applications in industries and other fields. Thank you very much.